Raise your hand if you've ever been involved with something that you regretted afterwards. It might be as simple as fooling around with your friend in class and they take the blame for you afterwards. Were you nervous about the consequences that might come back to bite you? Could you do anything to change your involvement afterwards? Most likely, you had to deal with the consequences that come with fooling around with your friend and your friend telling on you. But imagine if you could guarantee secrecy between the two. Would you feel less anxious about your involvement? Well, this is the relief that comes with power in politics. Today, I will be proving to you that Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide in his jail cell in the Metropolitan Correctional Center, but he was instead assassinated by his powerful associates. I fear that if one of my family members was sent to prison, then they would also be treated as a monetary item. I assure you that after today, you will not have trust in the American prison system. To start, I will tell you about Jeffrey Epstein's history as a sex trafficker and a corrupt businessman. Then we will talk about the unsealed trial documents that listed many of his powerful associates. Finally, I will prove to you guys how the correctional center enabled him to be assassinated and the impossibility of suicide in his cell. I will begin with Mahita Gajanan, who documented for the New York Times in 2019 about Epstein's history as a sex trafficker and corrupt businessman. He started off as a math teacher before wiggling his way into the Bear Stearns firm, and then he created his own firm in 1982. Epstein's close friends referred to him as a mysterious figure with a kind of Wizard of Oz type persona. For example, Chicago businessman Michael Stroll, who sued Epstein in 2007 over a business deal, said that everybody who's his friend thinks that he's brilliant, but I never saw any brilliance. Anybody that I know is this wealthy works 26 hours a day, but this guy plays 26 hours a day. Gajanan then went on to report about his first sex trafficking allegations. Epstein escaped a 2008 indictment with a sweetheart deal with the FBI. This was arranged to not let his victims know. And this was kept under the carpet. This is his first time avoiding the law. Epstein ran his legal sex trafficking out of his Palm Beach house and his private island. He created a pyramid scheme with many young girls to perform sexual acts on him. An investigation ran through the Miami Herald reported that over 80 young girls were sexually abused. Although he avoided these charges, he would face legal problems throughout the decade. It's difficult to understand the cooperation that was needed to operate this pyramid scheme, so we can talk about some of the powerful people that eventually needed Epstein to be killed due to this fact. Unsealed documents released by one of the victims, Virginia Giuffre, just one day before Epstein was killed. Ghislaine Maxwell was one of the most powerful people listed on this list. She was Epstein's right-hand woman and his girlfriend between 2002 and 2005. She also helped recruit women to his houses, but of course she denied these allegations. Some other powerful people involved were Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. Clinton has reported he has flight logs of him visiting his private island multiple times, but of course his spokesman has denied these allegations of him knowing the crimes that Epstein was involved in. The Duke of York, Prince Andrew, was also accused by Giuffre of visiting Epstein's New York mansion. A spokesperson from the Buckingham Palace admitted in July of 2019 that it was unwise of the Duke of York to have met with Epstein in 2010. Donald Trump, another powerful person, and it was at the time the president of the United States, was also on these documents. He had the fear of Epstein cooperating with the FBI, or else his reputation, which was already tarnished at the time, would go down even more if Epstein was to cooperate with the FBI. So what did they have to do? They had to figure out a way to get him to be killed. So yeah, clearly, as I just mentioned, all of the people had a lot of blood on their hands, but the wealth and the power that all these three people had outweighed the blood. Just 3 weeks before he was killed, Epstein had attempted suicide. So why was he taken off suicide watch at his jail cell? In addition, all the cameras were off around the time of his death. The guards were asleep. And the autopsy that was done afterwards, after the strangulation was found out to be, after the first autopsy was called to be a suicide, another autopsy was performed after, and they decided that it was a homicide. So I don't understand why people could even believe that this was suicide in the first place. Epstein's associates knew that he had nothing to lose, facing up to 45 years of prison, and there was a big chance that he was going to cooperate with the FBI. In the middle of the night on August 10th, a guard was away, and an inmate slipped in, and they killed him. Now that I've finished telling you all about Epstein's corrupt life, you should understand why these associates needed him to die. You now know about Epstein's career as a corrupt businessman. You know his career as a sex trafficker. You know the people that were involved and that needed him to die. And you know how it was impossible for him to commit suicide in his cell. If you had a net worth of $559 million, what would you do with that money? Would you find a way to get out of stuff? Could you find loopholes? Well, thank you.